So we're here today at the Peachtree Tea, a fundraiser benefiting Homestretch at the Fabulous Country Club of the South. Today we're speaking with Bob, who's the board president, as well as Kendra. She's a board member. Why don't you guys tell me, why is it important to give back to the community and what Homestretch means to you?
Well, I've been involved with Homestretch for many years, and I can't be more proud of what we do for the community and giving back and helping families and their children who have gotten themselves into difficult situations for many different reasons, and we'd like to help them get back on their feet and into the community.
Thank you.
It's just so rewarding to see what Homestretch does for these families, how they get them off their feet and moving back to doing something worthwhile for their life and giving them a sense of energy and a sense of hope. And Homestretch has been in the Roswell community and the surrounding areas for many, many years, and how enlightening it is just to be a part of this and seeing the outcome and seeing these families graduate and seeing them moving on to the next step of their life that gives them so much excitement to know that they can succeed. Homestretch is an amazing organization, and it's good to see so many people coming out today to be a part of celebrating the success of Homestretch.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Homestretch is very dear to me. I began working with Homestretch probably about 10 or 11 years ago. I was a board member, and I was the inaugural chair of the Peachtree Tea. For the first 6 years, I was chair 5 of those 6 years, I believe. So I know that the services that Homestretch provides are well needed or very desperately needed here in North Fulton. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And so I think it is a very, very worthwhile cause, very much needed, as I said, and somebody has to do it. And as we are blessed, we need to share those blessings. And that's why I continue to support it.
Very well said. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening.
Hi, I'm Brandon Goodman with Homestretch, and here we have
Liz Jackson.
And Liz, could you just tell us a little bit about what Homestretch means to you?
Yes, I am active with the Roswell Women's Club and also with Historic Roswell Kiwanis. And we like to give back to our community. We work and support Homestretch because we feel like Homestretch is a great opportunity to help people get back on their feet. It is a wonderful learning opportunity for people, a wonderful support for people, and we think that it's a great way for us to be involved in helping those who need a hand up right now. So we love doing things with Homestretch, and we love the people that we get to meet who live in the housing at Homestretch. It's a blessing to us to be involved with Homestretch.
Thank you so much for everything that you do, and thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
All right, we're here at the Peachtree Tea at the Fabulous Country Club of the South with not only a board member, but our chair for today's event. Martika, why don't you tell us, why is it important for you to give back and, more importantly, to be on the board at Homestretch?
Well, I actually came to my very first Peachtree Tea 3 years ago, and I was hooked from that point forward. Our church ended up sponsoring a unit, and I absolutely wanted to be involved in this organization because it's such an amazing organization for people.
Hi, I'm Brandon Goodman with Homestretch, and here we have...
My name is Tilly O'Neill. I am the founder of an organization called Every Woman Works. Every Woman Works help the women to move from dependency to self-sufficiency by helping them to find a job so that they can afford to stay at places like Homestretch.
That's fantastic. And could you also just tell us a little bit about what Homestretch means to you?
Well, Homestretch means to me is because the women that I serve do not have a place to stay. And here in North Fulton, there's not a whole lot of places, so there's a long waiting list. So I love to support Homestretch so we can have more places for women and their children to live.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for interviewing me.
Absolutely.
Now we're in the second part of trying to find a new executive director. I appointed a search team. Search team, several of them are here. Please raise your hand. Search team, let me tell you, they spent lots of time and lots of hours interviewing candidates for this position. It was good that we had many candidates from all over the nation apply for this position because they've heard of the good things of Homestretch and what they do in this community. But after many interviews, many hours of back and forth, what are we going to do, what are we going to do, we found an executive director almost in our back door, and someone that I knew. And when she applied for this position, I was just very, very pleased, and so was the search committee. Talia Parker stepped up. She's from Alpharetta. She has a corporate background and many years in volunteering in many nonprofits. She's got a heart of gold. She wants to keep doing the good things that Rose Burton was doing. Our staff has been tremendous and a huge support. And we, the search committee and the board of directors, were so pleased to be able to hire Talia Parker. Friends of Homestretch, please help me welcome our new executive director, Talia Parker.
Wow. So they didn't tell you how rough they were on me during their interview process, guys. So thank you to the Homestretch team, our sponsors, donors, volunteers, and to our bold and brilliant board. This year marks my 30th anniversary with volunteering in the community in the U.S., in India, and in Africa. Yes, I've spent the majority of my time volunteering with religious institutions as well as nonprofits. And I see we have a lot of churches here, so I know to speak up to be heard, stand up to be seen, and keep it brief to be loved. And I promise to do just that since we're running a little behind. So I want to tell you a little story. Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now? All right. So at the age of 13, I actually discovered what my purpose in life was. And I owe my parents for that because at that age, they came to my sister and I and said that we're going to encourage you, and by encourage, I mean without a choice, to volunteer at the VA hospital. Wait for it. For the summer, for free. So I said, okay. And it was one of the most rewarding experiences in my entire life. Because at 13, I discovered my passion, which was to give back. And then in my early 20s, I rediscovered that passion because I was homeless. I decided at that time I knew all things and I wanted to be all. And it just didn't work out for me. But during that time, I never dismissed what my purpose was because I was still volunteering to feed the homeless when I was homeless. That's some nerve, right? So in my 20s, I'm homeless, but my life changed. So now in my well, that's none of y'all business. But Homestretch Board has actually given me the opportunity to live out loud my purpose, my passion, and my absolute greatest sense of excellence. And my team, they hear me talk about excellence every single day because good is great, but I know that with your continued support of this fine agency, we can continue to show what excellence looks like, and I think you've seen a little of that today with Tamara. So, Homestretch, I have to move around a little bit because when I talk about Homestretch, I get excited. Not like Lee Jenkins when you're in the pulpit, but I get excited when I talk about Homestretch. Homestretch mission is to provide temporary housing and permanent solutions through stable families, finances, and employment. So when I think of Homestretch, I think of it like a college campus. Our transitional housing provides the shelters so the families can get the education. Now, count it up with me. This is just a few. They get education with life skills, family, finance, employment, mental health, physical health, counseling, tutoring, groceries, summer camps, transportation, and the list goes on and on and on because of people like you. Today is indeed a fundraiser, but it's also a celebration. It's a celebration for each and every person that's in this room today that actually cares about, their community, the people, and with your help is healing. Your help is turning someone else's pain into their greatest purpose. And one of my favorite quotes actually comes from Senator John McCain, and it simply says, "Nothing in life is more liberating than to fight for a cause greater than yourself." Something that encompasses you, but is not defined just by you. So I thank each and every one of you for helping to fight against homeless, hunger, and heartache. And it gives me great pride, especially to the two of the four founding members here, to say that I am the executive director for Homestretch. All right, we have a fabulous speaker. And I'm just going to start out by thinking I'm like Steve Harvey because, he's one of the greatest hosts ever. So I'm going to bring her out. Dawn Kirk, ladies and gentlemen, is excellence in and out of the boardroom. Dawn was recognized as one of Georgia's most powerful and influential women. She didn't want me to say that, but we're at the Peachtree Tea, so I wanted to sweeten your tea. Dawn Kirk is the founder of Best You for Life, whose mission is to help professionals design and live their life through transformational coaching and leadership development. She's a certified speaker, trainer, and coach with the John Maxwell, a certified life and health coach with the Health Coach Institute, and best-selling author of a book co-authored with leadership expert Brian Tracy entitled The Success Blueprint. Prior to this, she spent 26 years in corporate America as a senior executive with 2 Fortune 100 companies, Coca-Cola Refreshments and Frito-Lay. Dawn believes in giving back to the community and has done so through her service on boards with the Boys and Girls Club of America, Spectrum Human Services, the Network of Executive Women, and currently serves as a budget mentor with none other than Homestretch. She is on the home team. She's been married to Tony Kirk for 24 years, and they have 2 boys, ages 15 and 12. Please help me welcome Dawn Kirk.
I am. So she did not follow instructions. That is not the bio I sent to her. But you guys already know that she doesn't do that. So thank you so much, Talea, for that introduction. So good afternoon. I'm sure you're still finishing up your lunches, so we want to recognize the venue here for such a great job in the service that they provided you guys. Let's give them a round of applause. So we're here today to celebrate the impact of Homestretch has had on families and to ensure the work continues. So I thank you guys so much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us here today. So give yourselves a round of applause for being here. So I wanted to take a moment, because of your support and the support of many others, there's a lot to celebrate with Homestretch. Just a couple things. 117 family members have a home today because of Homestretch. 20,892 nights of housing were provided this past year. And 77 children, most importantly, had a stable place to call home. I don't know about you, but I'm extremely proud to be part of and associated with an organization like Homestretch. Aren't you? So let's give it up for Homestretch for those statistics. That's awesome. So in the few minutes that I have with you today, I want to share with you some stories of our Homestretch families. I also want to share with you my experience as a volunteer with Homestretch for the last year. And last but not least, I want to challenge us. We're doing a lot, but I think we can do more to help our community. So I don't know about you, but I grew up in the Midwest, and specifically a place called Waterloo, Iowa. And I know what you're thinking. You said, is that the potato state? It's not. It's the corn state. I get that all the time. But my family, I grew up in a middle-class family. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad was a professional as a mechanical engineer at John Deere. So needless to say, I didn't grow up seeing a lot of homelessness up close and personal. In fact, a lot of my images of what homelessness was and what it was the result of is what I saw on TV, or maybe the few times I went to a big city, I may have encountered some of that. So I bought into a lot of the myths of why people were homeless. Things like people are homeless because they choose to be, right? We all know that's not true. The reason they're homeless is because they're lazy. They don't choose to work. They don't want to work, right? Again, we know those myths are not true. And you may have a similar story to me. And then as an adult, I've always lived in suburbia, in suburban neighborhoods. So again, not faced every single day with homelessness. But if we're not careful, because we live in a place like North Fulton, it's easy to become desensitized, lose some of our compassion for some of the key issues in our community. So I found some statistics. While they're great, they actually help with the desensitization sometimes. So according to the U.S. Census, the average household income in Johns Creek is $143,000, with 21% of the households earning over $200,000. In Alpharetta, it's $134,000, with about 19% earning over $200,000. And in Roswell, where I live, the average income is $120,000, with 16.5% of the households making over $200,000. So statistics like these sometimes make it hard to comprehend that we have a homeless problem right here in this community. But despite these income levels, there's a growing number of homeless working families in North Fulton. I don't know about you, but I did not know that prior to engaging with Homestretch. So in fact, suburban homelessness has increased 159% since the year 2000. And the reasons, number one, increased rent costs. Number two, reduction in affordable housing. Number three, family crisis. And number four, lack of budgeting, financial management, and life skills. So notice that I didn't say choice or laziness were not the issues. And so that does not represent our Homestretch families either. So I want to take a moment to personalize the families served at Homestretch by sharing the stories, because sometimes we just don't understand. So I want you to imagine for a minute. Close your eyes if that's how you imagine, but I want you to imagine if these things took place in your life. So imagine you're the head of a household and your mother passes. There's not adequate insurance to cover the cost of the funeral, so you have to step up to cover it. So you help pay for the funeral, and as a result, you get behind on your rent. And as a result, you find yourself evicted and nonetheless homeless. Imagine you had a knee surgery and you had to miss 2 weeks of work because you didn't have paid time off. And because of that, again, you got behind on your rent, you got evicted, and you found your place in a place of homelessness. Imagine an unexpected divorce and custody battle. You deplete all of your savings and legal fees to fight for your children. Again, it sets you back. You lose your apartment. You're again faced with homelessness. Imagine you left a domestic violence situation with nothing but the clothes on your back, because you had to leave everything behind to save your life. You find yourself homeless and nowhere to go. Imagine life is going good. You're excited because you got a new job and you're moving to Georgia. But during the relocation, your car catches fire and you lose everything, including the job you were coming to relocate for. So where do you end up? In a place of homelessness. Imagine you can't afford childcare, so when your child is home, you have to choose between taking care of your child and going to the job. Again, you miss work, you get behind, you're evicted, you find your place in this space of homelessness. Imagine a grant-funded job abruptly ends after 8 months, and you lose your job. And during your job search, you get evicted, and suddenly you're homeless. Imagine you have a job, but you're underemployed. You just can't make ends meet. You struggle month to month, you get behind, and again, you find your place in this place of homelessness. So ladies and gentlemen, this represents the working homeless in North Fulton County. Now, the stories I just shared weren't stories of the homeless. I submit to you they were stories of life, which means that at any given time, it could happen to any one of us in this room. Some catastrophic event can wipe everything out that we've ever worked for. So let's not forget that we can also end up in one of these places. So my hope is that hearing the stories increases your compassion and erases any myths you may have had about the homeless. I know it did for me, and that's why I got involved in Homestretch as a budget mentor about a year ago. So I get the opportunity to work up close and personal with one of the families, get the chance to walk alongside of them on their financial journey. We work together on the budgets, we review spending habits, we discuss options to reduce the budget, and all that is great. But the best part is I've had the opportunity to be part of restoring hope, restoring belief that this situation won't last forever. I've watched emotional healing taking place and an attitude of empowerment restore. My family and I have been blessed because they've become an extension of our family. We've eaten some dinners together. We've supported the kids' performances at school. And there's nothing more rewarding than seeing these lives transform by giving them just a little bit of time, talent, and sometimes money. Because my church, Eagles Nest, who's represented here today, said yes to this organization, I said yes to this organization. This family's lives that we work with will be forever changed. And so I received a text in December that I will cherish, forever, and I asked permission to share it here with you today. And it reads, "Thanks is never enough when I really try to think of what to say. I do know that God sent you and your family to us, and I'm just grateful beyond words. You have gone above and beyond for us, and I just want to say that you're appreciated more than you'll ever know." And those words are just priceless. So all of this is possible because of the systems, the processes, the programs that Homestretch has put in place, and they are outstanding. The staff, if you've had the chance to work with any of them, have a heart to serve and genuinely care about the families they're working with. The volunteers are phenomenal and are completely dedicated. So we have to continue to support the organization in a bigger way. Why? Because the impact of these families is priceless. But there's a price to deliver the mission to guide homeless families towards permanent housing and lasting stability. And that's why we're here today. So let me first thank you for your generous support of the silent auction, of the 50-50, of the wine pool. But I want to challenge us to do just a little more. So for example, we have a large room of people here today. If everyone in this room gave over and beyond what you've already been generous enough to do, just say it was $25. This keeps food in the pantry full at Homestretch. If everybody in this room gave an extra $50, that provides another academic tutor for one of our homeless children. If everybody in this room gave an extra $100, it provides grocery for 1 week when a family has a loss of work. An extra $250 helps offset an emergency like a car repair or a medical bill. So there's a table in the back that has balloons on it, and I think you have some envelopes on your table as well. I truly, truly, truly would love for you to consider giving another $25, another $50, another $100, or another $250 to support the great cause of Homestretch. Can we do that? Can we do that? Will you do that? I really, really, really hope you will. And again, I thank you for your generosity, and I thank you in advance for your extra donation. And in closing, I want to close with this poem that I thought was very befitting for this occasion. It's by John Wesley, and it says, "Do all the good you can, by all the means you can, in all the ways you can, in all the places you can, at all the times you can, to all the people you can, as long as you ever can." Thank you.